Back at the dealership now, just finished my test drive. What I did halfway along, after about 26 miles, so yeah, that's about halfway, I turned eco mode off to see how economical the car would be without that set and managing it myself. 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour on the eco mode, but with it in normal mode I've got up to 4.76 on average. So considering that the first half was at 4.2, you know, that can be close to 5 almost. So my recommendation in the Zoe, well, I suppose any car, is don't rely on the button to do it for you, the eco mode. If you want to drive economically, drive economically. This one, the eco mode, was a little bit dangerous actually. There's so little performance when you accelerate. If you need to overtake, there is nothing there at all to get you past anything. And one of the great things about an electric car is the instant power, the instant torque, and to have all of that taken away in eco mode, I definitely wouldn't recommend using eco mode, especially since it's not as efficient. You can see I averaged just under 30 miles an hour. It was a nice low speed drive. We did 53.7 miles. The direct consumption numbers here, which shows you how many kilowatts you're consuming as you're driving. I noticed the regen braking, as soon as you're off the throttle, went as high as 16 or 17, minus 16, minus 17 kilowatts that it was recharging. But when you actually needed to hit the brake, that number jumped up to over 40. So even under braking, using the brake pedal, the regenerative braking is more than twice as aggressive and efficient in how much energy it's regaining than it is just standard letting your foot off the throttle. Let's see if we can find... Yeah, I thought this screen was very interesting. I'd love to have seen this in the BMW i3. It's showing a bar chart of the amount of power used, and then also in blue at the bottom the amount of power regenerated. So very interesting that that trip I've done, 53 miles, I've used 13.5 kilowatt hours, but I've gained back in energy recovery 2.3. So that's more than 10%. What's that? Is that 15% or more energy recovered back? I would love to have seen how much the i3 was actually regaining. This car, on the energy consumption and the regen braking, was like the i3, that it was on all the time, but it was smoother. It wasn't as aggressive in how it actually did it, so I liked it. In my test I hardly used the air. I had the fan on every now and then just to keep myself cool. But other than that, I had it off most of the time. The eco mode button is down the bottom here. So the efficiency, this is the interesting part. The efficiency, I got as high as, let's say, 5, somewhere between 4.7 and 5 for that second half of the journey. Well, in the Leaf I got 5.2, 5.3. So although this has got the same battery size, in theory it says 40 kilowatt hour, the Leaf didn't quite get as many miles range, even though it was more efficient. So range wise, this Zoe, I've just done 53.7 miles and it says 134 left, so that's 187. So yeah, that's 5 or 6 more than I got out of the Leaf. But what's to be believed in that? If these kilowatt hour numbers being used and the miles shown on here are accurate, then it's basically saying that this Zoe has more usable kilowatt hours than the Leaf. Or some of these numbers aren't quite believable. But anyway, for the Zoe, 180 plus is what I've just achieved. 134 mile range left, and I travelled 53.7 miles. So there you go. My overall summary of the Zoe: it's a really nice city car. The seats, although to start with they felt really, really comfortable and supportive, they're a bit hot and sweaty in this hotter day. They're not ventilated at all, and they're feeling a little bit hard, so they're not as comfortable as the Leaf. They're nice for short distance journeys, but this car's really not suited to do what I've just done, do 40-50 miles. It's not the best at it. I mean, it'll do it, and it's pleasant, but it's just not the best car suited for it. It's better for nipping around the city. It is what I thought it was. This feels hard. Everything's a bit hard and scratchy in. The chrome is hiding the cheapness of the buttons. They're not as good quality as the Hyundai's. Ride quality, it's what you'd expect from a Super Mini. It's not comfort, it's not luxury. It rides the bumps well for a small car, but it's not comfortable enough. So even though this is a cheaper option than the other cars I've been looking at, I wouldn't choose the Zoe. There you go. So that's my review. It doesn't live up to my expectations of what I want from a car, which is bigger, more comfortable, more luxury. Because if I'm only spending £30,000 or anywhere near to that, I want more from a car. This was a very functional car, though. You know, I'll give it credit. It handled well. It went round roundabouts well. It accelerated well. I think the fact that it hasn't got as much power as the Leaf actually helped it. It wasn't overpowered by it. So there you go. There's my review. The Zoe is what I would have expected. It's a lesser priced EV. There's less going on in the car. There's less that you're buying. It is a lesser EV, but for what it is, it's a very pleasant little drive. So for the right people, this will be a lovely little car. Personally, I just wish they'd have put it into the Clio rather than a separate Zoe range. I think the slightly larger car of the Clio would have suited it better. So obviously there's good reasons why they didn't do that, but I would have preferred it in a slightly bigger car, bigger package. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying these reviews. Stay tuned for more. There's more test drives coming up and hopefully a conclusion not too far away. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like these videos if of course you do like them. And thank you again.